Hey everyone, this is Russell with Artisan Cutlery and CJRB, and today I'm going to start showing off some of the models that we have planned for 2022, and hopefully we'll have these out by Q1, Q2 of next year. So I want to start off with a knife that I'm really excited about this one because the designer is a really great guy, a good friend of mine. This is the Hyperlite, designed by Joe Flowers. And if you're familiar with the name, Joe is, to put it lightly, a outdoor enthusiast. I think he is the only person I can think of that I can say, "Hey Joe, can you go test this knife for us?" And he'll say, "Yeah, let me just go to the Amazon and try it out." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Thanks, Joe." He's a great guy. But his designs, he's got several designs out, and they've always been very distinctive and very interesting, but at the same time, very practical and meant for a particular purpose. So I talked to him about working with us, and he likes our RPM 9 steel. He's been very happy with our construction and how we do our designs, and I gave him a task. It's like, "Hey Joe, buddy, Mr. Flowers, we want to make a knife that's going to hit a certain demographic. Can you design a 4-inch bladed knife that is under 3 ounces?" And he said, "Sure, yeah, let me give it a shot." So the Hyperlite is the product of that. And while this knife, this particular one, is not exactly under 3 ounces, it gets awfully close. This version with micarta and our RPM 9 steel comes in at about 3¼ ounces. And you'll notice with this one, the stock is very thin. There's this big fuller right here, taking some of the weight off. So I smudge the knife up. That takes a bit of the extra weight off. The handle on the inside of this is very much skeletonized. And the scales are quite thin, but this is a full tang knife. This is still a very well-constructed, fully functional tool that is meant to be very lightweight. And if you'll notice, if you know Joe, this almost has a look of a very, very tiny baby machete. Has an excellent grip in hand. The micarta is great, feels very grippy, but with the way this little that machete notch down there sits, has a very secure grip in hand, and feels like you can do some very substantial, even almost choppy work with this without it going anywhere. The jimping right here is nice and comfortable, gives you a nice purchase here, and the grind on this gives you a lot of blade. You'll see that it kind of widens towards the tip there, and you have a lot of cutting surface and honestly a lot of cutting power with something this light. And it is a full-size knife. This is a 4-inch blade. This is not small at all. We're making these with a nice Kydex sheath that will come with a clip. I don't have one on the table at the moment, but they will have a nice plastic clip. Has good retention, simple sheath. You can lash this onto your gear. You can use the clip on your belt. You can even just chuck it in a bag. And this is just a very nicely designed piece, and a very practical piece at that. So that one has micarta scales. We also have a version here that we're doing with G10 scales. This one's got a black coated blade. We're not sure how the final product is going to look when it comes to the finish and coating. This one comes in at a little heavier because of the G10 at about just a tad under 3½ ounces. Again, same design, but the G10 offers a bit of a different grippiness to it, and will probably keep the price down a little bit. We're aiming to have these in that $80 to $100 price range. And so far, we've had some excellent reception off of these. People seem to really like them. And while they are designed as outdoor knives and backpacking knives, we've had enough people say, "Hey, these sure look like fighters." And I would not doubt that this would make an excellent tactical knife as a backup piece strapped to your molly gear. That would just slide on in, and with the thinness, it's very easy to conceal. It gives you a full-size blade that is honestly the weight of some folding knives. So yeah, I'm just going to put this one up to the side, because we do have another version here. So this one is the true under 3 ounce version. This comes in at 2.98, just a hair under 3 ounces. And this is the same blade, but we've changed the handle on this one. And just to note, The handle under this one is not the same as this one. This is actually milled out with diagonal lines to reduce as much weight as possible. This one, per Joe's request, we've added a few tools and some lashing points if you want to put this on a pole. So you have your wrenches, you have a bottle opener. This notch right here, we may turn into something else, but it was intended to be a camp stove adjuster. And then, of course, you have a lanyard point there and just a little extra hole in the butt end here for another, if you want to use it as your lashing point or you want to use it for another lanyard. The options are endless with this. But this one is very light. And again, the sheath was made to be even thinner. This is really thin. This is very much a backpacking knife. You could comfortably chuck this in a bag and barely know it's there, but when you need it, you have something that works. You have something that will work very well for a lot of larger tasks without having the weight of, I would say, the average knife someone would carry for camping or backpacking is going to be a good bit heavier than this and might not even be quite as long. And with the blade shape and the dimensions of it, it's not what I would call a fragile knife either. There's plenty of meat at the tip to cut with, and the blade being so wide and having a fairly, we'll say, a trim, or a wide but thin profile, this is a great slicer and can be used to some degree for bushcrafting. So, with a bit of a paracord wrap, or even just keeping it like this to keep the profile small, this can just go about anywhere, and you have a full-size knife instead of having to carry a much smaller. We'll say there are many 3-inch knives out there on the market meant for backpackers, meant for outdoor use, meant as a backup knife. And those are great, wonderful knives. But this may actually be lighter than some of them and give you more blade and, to a degree, a better blade shape. And with our RPM 9 steel, very easy to maintain, very easy to sharpen. Pretty much something you can just even, I think Joe took his and he was fording rivers and, sitting out and camping out on the ground in the Amazon. His knife came out just fine. He beat the living heck out of it and is very happy with the end result. So this one will be the other version of the Hyperlite. And there may be some changes going forward with both these models. We are talking about doing some minor adjustments for comfort and grip. Nothing too big. I think the blade is about perfect. There are very few things we'd like to change about this. This takes just the right amount of weight off. The cutting profile is excellent. The tip position is great. The fact that we are able to kind of keep the tip a bit more, come on camera focus, a bit more robust is excellent. Joe actually did a bit of prying and heavy beating on one of these, and he said it performed quite well. So yeah, this one is a very neat piece. And I'm really excited that we got a chance to work with Joe on this. He has provided a lot of insight into fixed blades that we were kind of sitting there going, how can we do this? How can we make something like this work for us with our company? And I think this is it. So that is the Hyperlite, designed by Joe Flowers. We're hoping to have these out, hopefully Q1 of next year, possibly Q2. But keep an eye out for these on our Instagram, and on I will be posting videos of these when they are in full production. So yeah, really excited about this project. Very excited to continue working with Joe. Always, he's an absolute joy to talk to. And I think if someone out there is looking for a perfect outdoor backpacking knife that's lightweight, easy to carry, and performs very well, this may be the perfect knife for you. Once again, that is the Hyperlite, designed by Joe Flowers, going into the CJRB line. Look out for this knife within the next few months. Thank you so much. You guys take care.